Welcome back to Pen Micro. For this next exercise in tissue handling, we're going to really talk about how to use the micro scissors and judge the tension in doing a dissection. And this is particularly important in radiated blood vessels, like the radiated internal mammary vessels, because there, spreading just doesn't work very well. If you start spreading in a radiated field, you're just going to cause all kinds of bleeding, adventitial hematomas, and ultimately lead to unusable vessels. So here we have a normal line. We're going to cut that line just off center. All right, and what this is going to achieve is going to give you an area where you have the stem on one side of the line. And we're going to basically dissect that stem out of the flesh of the line. There we go. So one half of the lime with stem on it, the other half to garnish a cocktail. And what you're going to see is the various septi that are in the lime. So what we're going to do before we start to actually attack the internal aspect of this is to get into the septi and start to dissect this off. This is sort of like taking the posterior cartilage and off of the internal mammary vessels. A very similar kind of idea. Sorry, perichondrium is what I meant to say. And so I'm going to cut into this flesh a little bit to just get things started. Now, just like in our previous videos, we're not going to hold the lime to be fixed to anything. It's essentially going to just be free floating. So in order to do this dissection, you have to generate some tension and counter tension. And so you can peel these septae away. But unlike with the grape, these septae are densely attached to the underlying tissue. And so in order to get this to move, you got to go in there and use your scissors. And the goal is to stay right on and keep the meat underneath. You could do something similar in terms of a dissection using fish and the bones, but a little bit more care and handling and refrigeration involved. Limes you can just bring with you to the OR. No one's going to bother you. All right, we're going to cut away this one area of the lime where it attaches to the stem. And you will generate some lime juice in this method that you can dab if you have something to dab with to help you see better. Again, the key thing is to keep the lime in somewhat steady state. So that's one sort of septate. And it's a reasonable exercise just to go through and see how many of these you can dissect out. What we're going to do is focus on just two of them until we can get to the stem itself. So here's the other side. I found, oops, sorry, a little too hard there. Here's the bottom of the second septate. Hopefully the camera's picking up this little septum. You're never going to be perfect in terms of exactly where the cut is because you have no way to predict where these are. So this one I have to go through the flesh a little bit before I get to the septum. The other one was a little bit more superficial, but same general idea. One of the hardest parts about this is keeping the lime steady. And that's something that's good to practice both in micro and in general, is that when you're around delicate, fine structures, a lot of times the problems are caused by not paying attention to what the other hand is doing. The hand or the instrument that's putting in the suture is the one we tend to focus on. We forget about the fact that the other hand, the other instrument is doing an equally important function, steadying and creating tension. And this sort of forces you to pay attention to both of those aspects. All right, we're going to get rid of this other septate, and then we can attack the stem. Now, in a lime, or in any citrus fruit, all of these little septations meet at the stem. And so what we're going to need to do to get the stem out is to break those connections to all the other septae that remain. And that's where the knife skills, or sorry, rather the scissor skills are really important. Almost done. This one's a little on the stubborn side. All right, I'm going to cut this away now. Okay, now you can get a better sense of the actual stem itself. We're going to dry this area out. All right, let me take our 11 blade. We're going to get this started by just cutting through the last centimeter or so of the stem. Disconnecting it from here, and then cutting underneath it as well. That way we have something to grab to and pick up. There we go. So, increasing the level of difficulty by not having this lime fixed in space. If I just pull on this, I'm going to move the whole lime. So my scissors are stabilizing this while I'm lifting up with my left hand. And you can just run the scissors underneath this. You'll find areas that have tension, and then you'll release them with the scissors, following along the septae. And it's a great exercise to sort of just follow this plane of dissection. Half the battle is just being able to use these instruments like you use macro instruments, like they're second nature. It's not something strange or different or new. The whole point of this course is to really get you that experience without having to have it be always in the operating room. There we are, the stem from a lime.